Hey everybody, ForbidenXL here, and welcome to another new video. So I kind of took a break over the holidays to, spend some time with family and not play Pathofexile, which is always a nice time to take a break. I know the new league kind of just started, so haven't really been playing the new league much. I did rebuild an old character on my standard account for Tornado Shot because I love that build so much. Such a fun build. Still not as good as Cast on Crit Forbidden Right, which I will be putting out an updated guide on that probably in the next 4 or 5 days, so be sure to subscribe if you want to see that. But for Tornado Shot, it's pretty phenomenal. I'll put a clip of just kind of a relatively juiced Crimson Temple map at the end of this video, so you can see this in action. So as usual, we'll go over the gear, the gems, the skill tree, and then we'll pull up Path of Building. This isn't a leveling guide by any means. Level a ranger however you would like, and then kind of respec. There's a lot of different ways to level a ranger. Personally, I would like to go Pathfinder. It takes a lot more respecking, but you will stay on the right side of the tree. Just take a lot of chaos, poisonous concoction, toxic rain, something like that to get leveled up if you're just starting a new character, and then respec as you get the gear. All right, first things first is the bow. This is a pretty gnarly bow. I do have a video that I'll link up here on how I crafted this a few leagues ago. As I said, I'm playing in standard. Probably long term would have been better to do it on a spine bow instead of a thicket bow to get the higher base crit chance, but it is what it is. You don't have to go for a crazy bow like this with essence tier 1 cold fire and lightning damage. Try to get as high as you can. Maybe try to get a fractured cold fire lightning damage. I do have videos on that, on how to make budget bows, which I'll put up there too as well. But double damage attack speed. The additional arrows allows me to fire 8 with just Tornado Shot. Since we lost the enchants for the helmets, so there's no Tornado Shot fires additional secondary projectile. However many additional arrows you have on your gear is however many arrows you have, aside from charms, which obviously this is standard, so don't have any wildwood ascendancies or anything like that, which can only make the build better. As you saw, Black Sun Crest, you're playing Omniscience, Omniscience, however you want to say it. I think it's Omniscience, but Omniscience. So I just got one with as high percent strength, dex, and intelligence as I could that had the 80% cost and reservation multiplier. Just helps a lot with mana. So you can see there I got 55 mana right now. The quiver, it's a pretty decent quiver. It's not perfect by any means, but it does have the additional arrow on there. Crit multiplier, kind of crappy crit chance, but just get a broadhead arrow quiver for the base attack speed. You can get one that has fractured +1 arrows, then that'll make the crafting process a lot easier. Otherwise, you kind of just have to, roll it till you get one with an additional arrow, because that extra arrow, every extra arrow helps a ton. As I said, Crystallized Omniscience. It's such a great amulet. Just anoint Utmost Intellect or any of the ones that give you a flat stat and a percent increased stat. Got 2 Ventors, pretty well rolled. I actually dropped this from a Voidborn key. There's no life roll on it. The flat life is, the max life is 0 on it, so it doesn't show up. But increased quantity, increased rarity, and then all positive res, which is nice. Same with this one, pretty high rolled res on that one, and then almost near perfect, 5% off from increased quantity, and then about a half roll of life. For the body armor, everything else is evasion aside from these two. Strictly evasion based. Obviously the Black Sun is hybrid armor evasion. This one I got hybrid armor evasion just for the fractured life regen. You're going to die a lot in this build. It's super squishy. You want to get spell suppression cap, so make sure you get something that has evasion, hybrid armor evasion, or just straight evasion, like a Zodiac or something like that. Get it as high of a roll as you need to. Use Deafening Essences of Loathing to get more mana reservation, and then roll it until you get max life. You can do the Eldritch Chaos Orbs if you want to, get your suffixes perfect, and then roll your prefixes. And then I am Elemental Ailment immune from this, and then the boots, which we'll get into in a second. But if you want to do it this way, make sure you have an open prefix so that you can craft that, and it has to be at 25%. For the gloves, just Slink gloves. Increased effect of your marks, and then, because we're using Sniper's Mark, and then chance to intimidate. Intimidate, as you can see there, take increased attack damage. And then I'm trying to go for Magic Find version, obviously, with the Ventors, so double increased rarity, and then attack speed, some flat cold lightning, and then obviously spell suppression. As you can see, I'm using a Mageblood. I do have the Headhunter kind of version that I play around with every once in a while here. once you play with the Mageblood, if a build can utilize a Mageblood, it's hard not to use it. So it is what it is. You don't have to have a Mageblood. You don't really have to have a Headhunter for this, honestly, either. It's that next step. It's kind of the final step, really, to make the build so much better. For the boots, so I said you need 20% chance to avoid elemental ailments, and then the other one, you can do whatever you want on there, really. I just like to move faster. Fractured spell suppression makes your life a lot easier. Got increased rarity on this, got some flat lightning res, move speed, and then what you want to do is same thing, deafening essences of loathing until you get 35% chance to avoid elemental ailments. Got lucky, obviously rolled it with a T1 lightning, and then I actually hit the increased rarity just on the Veiled Chaos Orb, which got really lucky on that one. The increased movement speed, if you haven't been hit recently, obviously doesn't do me any good because I'm always getting hit, but I could try and redo it, but I don't want to lose that rarity. For the Flask, 50% recovered instantly, pretty high rolled, bleeding corrupted blood, and then obviously we're using Mageblood, so you're going to do increased effect on everything. We got a Diamond Flask with chance to avoid being stunned, so I'm 100% stun immune with that increased effect. We got a Quicksilver Flask with the increased effect and crafted reduced mana cost of skills. Gold Flask with crafted increased rarity. You get both of these from unveiling Cinder Swallows, in case you weren't aware. Just buy still veiled Cinder Swallows and then unveil them and you'll get it eventually. Shouldn't take you too long. And then for this, just Amethyst Flask with increased effect and increased attack speed, so I can get my Chaos Res as high as possible. It's like 18%, so not terrible. That's it for that gear. I'll show you the kind of Headhunter version that I have here as well. So Headhunter, obviously you kill every monster, you gain its modifiers. So what you want to do is roll charges when charges reach full, and then try to get either chance to gain a flash charge when you deal a critical strike, or gain charges when you're hit by an enemy. And that way you can pretty much keep your flasks up all the time. And for this version, I just did a double Diamond Flask since I can't get the increased effect of crit chance, double or evasion attack speed, and then spell suppress phasing evasion. I haven't played with this one in a few days, so I'd probably end up actually using Chaos Res again. Dying to Chaos Res sucks. Alright, so as far as the gems go, Tornado Shot, awaken elemental damage with attacks. Inspiration reduces your mana cost and you do more damage. Increase critical damage just for more crit multi. Mirage Archer, just more arrows, more stuff killing. One other thing to kill stuff for you. And then Trinity. That's it for the Tornado Shot build. Up here we've got auras, so we've got level 4 Enlighten linked to a 21 Anger, a 20 Vitality, and a 20 Haste. I've got the Totem Tornado Shot build, so Focus Ballista, another Awaken Elemental damage with attacks I'm leveling up. Awaken Greater multiple projectiles. That one you don't have to drop to 20-something divines. For that one, if you don't want to, you can use Barrage, works really good. You can swap that out if you're fighting a boss or something, just a single target. You can use Fork or something like that. Increase critical damage again. Tornado Shot, obviously, and then Ballista Totem. For the gloves, I just Flame Dash, and then we've got a level 21 Precision so that we can get to 100% chance to hit. And then Mark on Hit linked to Sniper's Mark. Over here, we've got a little Mana Forge arrow set up with an Ensnaring Arrow, and then Frenzy linked to Power Charge on Critical. So you can generate Power Charges, which increases your damage, which also increases your crit chance. So if you do want to go more damage / defense and less magic find, you basically have these 4 gems or 4 items right here. So you swap out one of these, probably the Gold Flask, for a double Evasion Jade Flask with increased effect. And then try to get like a Vermilion Ring or something to get the 50% increase elemental damage with attack skills. You try to get attack speed on there or something like that. And then get an Onslaught on Hit Ring synthesized, which probably shouldn't be too super expensive. Yeah, 20 Divine in Standard right now. League, yeah, 4 to 10, so not terrible. And then run Grace instead of Haste. Even if I have Haste or Grace up, it doesn't affect my life pool much. I still die a lot, so I might as well move faster and shoot faster if I'm going to die all the time anyways. One quick note too, if you don't want to run Sniper's Mark, which you should, but if you find, or you don't want to run Power Charge on Crit, you have to run this or Assassin's Mark, or you can't generate Power Charges. So you got to do one or the other. Power Charge on Crit seems to work fine. Frenzy and Ensnaring Arrow will crit, I think they're at like 60-something%. I'm not sure. I always have max power charges when I'm mapping. All right, so for the tree, this will be linked in Path of Building, obviously, but you can kind of see it's a pretty standard tornado shot build. So we've got a Lethal Pride here. Just try to get one that has some good mods that'll add stuff to here. Attack damage, leeches life, regen, melee. That one doesn't do any good. Max life, double damage, strength. Reduce extra damage from crit, which is nice as well. But just try to get one that adds, a couple of good ones on here. There's no double deal double damage as well. Take this whole wheel, reduction applied to damage with bows. So come down here. In order to get 100% chance to avoid elemental ailments, you do have to take these 4 nodes right here, and that will put you at 100% as long as you have the 25% on here, 20% implicit, and 35% suffix on your boots. I decided to go with the 12 passive damage with bows cluster, large cluster. Pretty well rolled. Increased attack speed, increased effect. I'm not actually using Feel the Fight. I don't have enough points for it, but it makes a pretty significant difference. And then I'm using Nature's Boon, Forbidden Flesh, Forbidden Flame. These aren't really required. It's just an extra 30% to your magic utility flasks, and if you're using Mageblood, they're always up, so you might as well do that. But you don't have to. Over here, it's an 8 passive one with Feed the Fury, Feel the Fight, Martial Prowess. So I'm using all of those. So that's attack speed, more accuracy, damage, damage leeches life, damage while leeching, attack speed while leeching, and then attack speed, leeching mana, which is always nice, and then more damage while leeching. So then the Interrogation Small Cluster Jewel, you can't inflict Ignite, Chill, Freeze, or Shock, but you can inflict Scorch, Brittle, and Sapped. So that gives you up to 30% lowered elemental resistance on enemies, up to 6% critical strike chance, and then sapped enemies deal less damage based on the light and damage on hit, so you take less damage if they're sapped. Essentially using Trinity, you're hitting with all 3 elements. You'll get all 3 of them. Up here, Lionized Fall, pretty standard one for a lot of bow builds, because you have these 2 clusters right here that are super helpful if they apply to bows instead. So this is the claw one right here. You get increased damage, attack speed, still power, frenzy, and endurance charges on hits with bows, so you can't technically steal power charges from that if you're attacking something that has a power charge to steal. If you want to try and go full crit, you could drop this wheel or part of it right here, and then just take these, which will give you crit chance and crit multi as well. As far as the other jewels go, so just a Corrupted Blood with some increased attack speed, damage of taken his life, and then the Watcher's Eye is pretty stupidly expensive, honestly. You don't need all 3 of these mods. Increased attack speed while affected by precision is nice. Crit multi while affected by precision is nice as well. The life per enemy hit while affected by vitality, that one, I'm going to say it's pretty mandatory. You're hitting so many things, and every time you hit something, you gain 21 life. So you don't, as you can see there, have a very big life pool at all. All the life that you can take or leech helps. And then fire damage leeches life while affected by anger is just a little more life leech. So for Path of Building, I'll put the link to this in the description below. I'm not sure why it says I'm at level 99. No. For some reason it'll always, if you import it, because I just re-import it just to make sure it's correct, sometimes it'll randomly just half fill in a cluster jewel for some reason. So if that happens to you, then that's probably why. Always check your cluster jewels first. That's usually what it will do. Anyways, so yep, same tree there. You can see a single arrow does 3.5 million DPS, and total full DPS with totems up and all 8 arrows, plus the 8 arrows from Mirage Archer, you're doing about 46 million DPS with a 200% move speed modifier, so you're zooming around the map pretty quick. Absolutely terrible. Effective hit pool, 9,000. As I said, kill stuff before it hits you. That's my only advice. My omniscience is pretty low. I want to try to get it over 1,000, but the build works fine. See here's skills. When you import this, you'll have all these in here, all the same items. And then for the configuration, this is one thing that you want to do, because if your DPS over here doesn't look right, maybe it seems like you're doing more damage than you are. Make sure you have all these selected right, so you are using power charges, you are using frenzy charges. So each one of these, they make a significant difference. The Gale Force, max Gale Force is 10, so you just put that on there. Inspiration charges already counts as having max ones. I don't have Onslaught. I do technically have phasing every once in a while and Tailwind, but it doesn't make a difference on here. You are always leeching, so that's about 400,000 per arrow, about 6 million damage overall. Resonance count, Trinity has set that at 50. They are ensnared once, they're scorched, they're inflicted with brittle, and they're sapped as well. Brittle, as you can see there, you know, it's about 1.4 million DPS per arrow if you don't use the interrogation jewel. That's a large damage lost if you don't use that. You can play the build without it, obviously. I mean, you know, 2 million damage per arrow, about 11 million total damage. Not terrible. And then sapped obviously helps a little bit with the effective hit pool. Not too much, you know, about 2,000 or so. But it's really just for Scorched and Brittle. That's it. You can see it's on Guardian Pinnacle Boss. Uber Pinnacle Boss, doing about 13 million DPS, so it's definitely, you can do Ubers with this. I'm sure if I invested a little more time and currency into it, then I definitely could get in a spine bow or something like that. Alright, well that was it. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a like. And if you are enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, because it really does help me out.